Hello and welcome to Comicstorian Weekly with Andy, myself, and Snow the Cat. Andy, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic, Dan. Thanks for asking.
Are you enjoying our pet companion here, our cat companion?
Oh,
just knocking everything off and exploding with
super furry all of a sudden.
All right, you know what? Let's go ahead and jump on into the comics for today. Starting off, we've got Batman number 108. This was the introduction of the new character, Miracle Molly, who is basically cyberpunk cosplay
Can we
character.
point out how cyberpunky Gotham has gotten in the last week and a half, apparently?
It's, they were basically like, hey, our city developers, did you play Cyberpunk 2077? It looked cool, right?
Right?
Let's make Gotham that.
Like, I swear to God, it went from we went through the Joker War, and then everybody was like, all right, everybody, we're going straight Blade Runner and Cyberpunk 2077. Get on board.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what this was. We see a little bit more progression of the Magistrate. We find out who Peacekeeper 01 is.
I called it
right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then we also have the Miracle Molly, the new character who is the only person to ever notice that Matches Malone's mustache
is fake,
and that he is Batman, and then becomes Zorro.
They also seem to have a thing. Was it just me, or did they have a thing for a couple of panels?
They seem to have a little bit of a thing. Yeah. I think someone's going to become a new Robin.
He's like, do you have any tragedy in your backstory?
She's like, I don't remember because they wiped it. He's like, perfect.
Get it? Perfect.
So yeah, it was a solid issue.
Yeah, it was a pretty good issue.
The backup, I'm loving the Ghostmaker backup.
I am too. Actually, I thought that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
The art's good. I like the way that they're showing the character and like really making him seem like the badass that I assumed he was.
Yeah. Because we're getting Ghostmaker before he suddenly had his redemption. Mm-hmm. What a loser.
Wants to redeem themselves.
All right, see you later. No. Yeah. Overall, I didn't think it was like a blow my mind kind of issue, but it was a good issue.
Yeah,
overall. And then, like I said, the only thing that throws me off is how cyberpunky Gotham has become after the Joker War.
We'll just scoot past that. But yeah, Batman 108. Tynan's doing a great job with this one. I would say pick it up.
For instance, just real quick, I don't even know where to buy a neon colored jacket. And yet everybody seems to have them in Gotham. Yeah. Maybe it's an urban thing.
You know what? We need
it's a city
We need
thing.
A Joker attack.
It's a city thing.
And then people will be like, you know what style we need? Neon
colored clothing.
All right, moving on. We've got the second Batman comic that came out this week, the Batman Fortnite 0.2 issue. It was all right. It was pretty much entirely given away in the preview for it. That it is Batman constantly going through the loop of Fortnite. Every 22 minutes it resets. And he's been leaving himself notes and is trying to figure out how to stop the reset from happening. And every time that him and Catwoman end up at the end, they restart the cycle.
Right.
And then it ends with finally someone's getting a battle royale, the victory. And so we don't know where it's going to go from there. It's all right. This one was, honestly, it felt like a full issue of something that could have been covered in 3 pages.
Fair enough.
Because it was like, okay, I get it.
He's just constantly doing
he's going to the next one. I did like he's forgotten that he is Batman. And at one point he goes to his Batcave, which is a Fortnite-built Batcave, and he's like, well, at least I'm consistent with my branding. Or he thinks something like that. We've got a cat over there just jumping on everything. But yes, Batman Fortnite 0.2. If you do want the in-game skin, you do have to buy the physical copy. As an issue, it wasn't bad.
The second issue also has a skin? I know the first one did.
So I believe, if I understand correctly,
all right. Come here.
Each of them have a skin for something in the game, and then if you collect all 6, you will unlock the Batman exclusive skin, I believe. Which is a great way to do it because it makes it so that people have to buy all of them.
Right, yeah.
Because
if you want the Batman, you're going to have to buy all 7.
Exactly.
Or 7?
I think it's 6.
6 issues.
I think it's 6. So, all right. Next up, we've got Crime Syndicate number 3.
Where the crime syndicate saves the world the only way they know how.
Trying to outdo each other.
That and massive destruction.
Yes. I like it. I actually don't know much about the Crime Syndicate, and I feel like I've been given enough in this to kind of get an idea of who each person is. I like Donna Troy with the barbed wire of truth.
Yeah.
As opposed to...
That was a cool moment.
I like that she also... They did a little bit of a background for her, like a little bit of her origin story, and I actually really dug that. I thought it was really good. I'm enjoying this series.
So far, I'm enjoying it too. Generally speaking, when we see the crime syndicate in the past, they're already at like, we rule the planet.
Yeah.
So we don't... If there has been like a full-on origin for them, I don't remember it. There probably has been. I just don't remember it at all.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool seeing this kind of like the origins of how they took over and rose up and that sort of thing.
And before they even call themselves the Crime Syndicate.
Right, yeah.
I'm curious what their first name's going to be, if they're going to pick something else and then eventually become the Crime Syndicate instead.
The Crime League. Nah, it's no good. It's no good.
Syndicate? Ooh, someone took out their thesaurus this morning.
Yeah, but overall, I'm enjoying it. I like seeing like Ultraman like bitching at everybody because he's supposed to be the most powerful.
And then everyone else going, dude, stop taking your kryptonite crack. He's like, I'm fine.
Super drug addicted. Yeah, overall, I'm enjoying it. This is what issue is this?
3.
3, okay, yeah.
I don't know if this actually has... Is this a limited series?
I was going to say, I don't know if it's an ongoing. But I am enjoying it.
It doesn't say that it's got a limit, so
okay.
It'll be interesting. I hope it's not, because I'm enjoying it. I like the main universe stuff that...
Right, yeah, because you can do interesting things with it, in my opinion.
Exactly.
But the only thing is, due to Future State, we know what's going to happen. Eventually, Waller's going to come over to their 3 and start her own Suicide Justice League. League of Suicide? That doesn't sound right.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good at all.
The Suicide Syndicate?
Sure, yeah. Anyway, because we saw in the Future State one that she had the crime syndicate on ice still. They were all like cryogenically frozen. So we do hypothetically know where it's going.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I have a feeling it's going to be Superboy versus the crime syndicate.
That's what I think too. Yeah.
So, and I have a feeling that Superboy has something wrong with him that's going to potentially lead him towards a villainous direction. But when he sees the crime syndicate, that's going to be what
maybe
goes,
he turns away.
Oh, maybe I don't want to become a kryptonite drug addict and all of that.
Jeez.
Jazz, so. He's very picky, Superboy.
God.
All right, next up, we've got Green Lantern number 2. So this is continuing off of Green Lantern number 1, where
That does make sense.
One of the Guardians of the Universe have died. And in this one, it's basically the funeral for the Guardian. And then we learn that because the OA has been accepted into... essentially the UN for the universe.
The UUN.
The UUN.
United Universe of Nations?
I don't know. The UU? The United Universe?
The United Universe, yeah.
I can't remember what they're called. But because they are now a part of that, the core has essentially been dissolved.
Okay.
And so half the universe... has been removed because it's being controlled by the other police force, the Thangarians. So half the Green Lanterns are like, well, where do we go?
Right.
And so in this one, we learn that they're going to be all going on this quest, and they're going to be going with thousands of them into essentially like the dark sector and figuring out what's going on over there. Then some crazy, crazy stuff happens that I do not want to spoil. And, yeah, we get the Far Sector Green Lantern shows up. We've got some stuff with the Teen Lantern in this, and it's going in the direction of Future State.
Okay.
I hope it's not too much like that, but if it does, I hope that we truly get the Jessica Cruz as a Yellow Lantern, and that becomes an actual story, because I will read that.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure most people would, because I don't really know anyone that is not at least partially a fan of Jessica Cruz.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, she's a good Green Lantern that is unique enough
Right,
but
yeah.
still follows suit.
Right, yeah,
So, all right, next up we've got Man-Bat number 4. I know you did not read this one.
I didn't read this one.
So this one we're learning about what Scarecrow is doing to Man-Bat and his wife in order to basically force them to create what he needs. And it's interesting because Scarecrow, as you know, usually controls people through his fear toxin.
Right.
In this one, we're learning that he's actually using sound now that is like
Fear sound?
like a subliminal sound that's making them see certain things and act in certain ways.
Okay.
So he can like makes Man-Bat think that he looks like Kirk Landstrom, for example, and then like messes with their relationship. And it's interesting. It's hard to enjoy comics like this when you're like, oh, okay, so this is before Man-Bat joins the Suicide Squad, so kind of like Future State with DC, you know where it's going.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it kind of nullifies some of the excitement that you
Right.
could go with. So it was all right. If you've been reading it and enjoying it, you will like it. You will keep enjoying it, but this one will not make you go, my mind has been changed. It will not. All right, next up, we've got The Next Batman, Second Son, number 10. Did you read this one?
I did. At least we get a little bit more superheroics now. It's not just...
I wouldn't say superheroes.
No,
more
he
just
gets a little bit
heroics.
more like in costume and stuff. I don't know. It's pretty boring, honestly. The series is kind of dull to me.
I was hoping we were going to get like an actual Batman thing based on the cover.
And like realistically, because
still-
what issue is this?
10.
10. Like at this point,
Which, if it was a normal one, would be issue 5, but that's still too many issues.
it's like at this point, like they've spent too much time on the Fox family drama. Like
Yes.
they need to get to the Batman part. I've said this before. They need to get to the Batman part of the second
if you're
Batman
gonna
or next Batman or
name
whatever.
it the next Batman, you need more Batman.
Yeah, exactly. It's too slow a burn, I guess is my way of saying it. And I'm generally a fan of slow burn comics if the story's right. This is just dull. They need to get on with it.
Yeah. If this is one of those ones that if I was not reading it for the show,
I wouldn't be
picking
keep reading
up.
it, yeah.
Even if it is only $1, it's just it's kind of lost me. But hopefully it'll turn around because of the way that this one ended.
Maybe, hopefully, who knows?
So anyway, moving on, we've got Suicide Squad number 3. I enjoyed this one. Did you read this? Based on your face, I'm going to assume you did not.
Let me see the cover.
It's the one where they are trying to steal the speedster that's a part
Oh, yes.
of
Okay. Yeah. I did
Titans Academy.
I did read it, yeah.
I'm really enjoying
I'm
this
enjoying
Suicide
it.
Squad.
Overall, I don't think it's on the level of Tom Taylor's run.
Oh, definitely not.
But
you can't really. That's
yeah.
unfair to compare to. Tom
That's
Taylor,
true.
Let's be honest. Here.
But it is very. I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing like. I like the fact that we've got a speedster that has prosthetic legs.
Yes, it's
Like
an
I think
interesting
that's
idea.
a clever. Like it's a clever way to do it. They're trying to capture her because they need a speedster. I like it. I think it's actually pretty cool. And apparently in this one, while they say that she's a Speed Force wannabe, they also mention that she's actually the fastest speedster, which I think is very interesting.
I don't remember them saying
She just
that.
doesn't have like the
She can't run for
of
very
the
long
Flash.
is what it is,
She
yeah.
can run faster in short bursts, but not. She's a short distance runner, not a marathon runner.
Yeah.
Essentially,
It's a sprint,
Um,
not a race. It's the opposite of that usual statement.
Yeah, I was trying to see whether or not I could find
I
them
don't remember
saying that she.
I remember them
is-
saying that she's a speedster or a Speed Force wannabe.
Yeah, she has bursts of speed, but can't run continuously like
Yeah.
the Flash. So, and because she's one of the fastest meta-humans on the planet, is what.
Okay,
Waller says.
one of
So
them. Yeah,
okay, that
okay.
makes sense. That makes a little more sense. But anyway, it's worth picking.
Yeah,
up.
overall, I'm enjoying this new series, this new Suicide Run.
I would definitely say pick it up.
I still think Peacekeeper is really. He's like the weirdest hero.
I
and
love
to see
it.
his interaction with like Superboy is really fun.
Yeah, I love it for that. I like the way that they're making him in the comic, and I kind of love that the only person I can now picture is John Cena.
Yeah.
And it just makes it so much
Yeah,
better.
when I read it, I'm hearing John Cena's voice because you can't see John Cena.
Well, yeah.
Because he's invisible.
It's just a suit.
Yeah.
There's nothing
There's
else
nothing
there.
in there. But yeah, like I could just hear his like delivery during the trailer, and yeah, it also makes me want to watch the movie even more.
Which I'm super excited for the
Yeah.
movie. I love that apparently he does not take off the costume.
Right, yeah.
Like he goes into public in the full piece. Oh my God. I'm so excited for that film. But anyway, the comic itself, definitely pick it up.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying that series. That's one of those ones that even though I know where Future State takes it,
I kind of want to see how it gets there.
I want to see how it gets there, and it's going in directions where I'm like, how does this lead to that kind of thing? So, all right, moving on into the Marvel portion of today's show. I'm having trouble speaking today, apparently. Amazing Spider-Man number 65. So this is continuing the Ransom, where the Robbie Robertson's son and Tombstone's daughter have a thing. They got kidnapped. They're trying to find them. This is kind of they find them, they have a big fight. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's classic Spider-Man. It's a fun issue. It's really good, but it is classic Spider-Man. Nothing too crazy.
Right,
different.
nothing earth-shattering. Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
All right, moving on to our next one. We've got Carnage, Black, White, and Blood number 3.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Actually, my favorite one was the pirate version.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the pirate one.
I actually like the cosplay.
Yeah. That was funny. Yeah, that was
each
funny.
of them had like their moments.
Nothing that like nothing that
first
says
one-
you should run out and check this comic out. In my opinion, they're all kind of like if you like anthology stories and that sort of thing, they're not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say you got to run out unless you're like a diehard Carnage fan. None of these stories is gonna like change your perception of the character. Nothing's earth-shattering. They're fun little stories, but that's about it.
The first one then in this was actually very reminiscent of a Joker storyline.
I was thinking that, yeah.
The one with
like
the rose.
Yeah. The made out of flesh and things like that. Yeah, it was very similar to that.
Very similar, but I mean, overall, it was a fun issue.
Yeah.
This hasn't been my favorite story, but if you are a fan of Carnage, you will enjoy it.
Yeah, overall.
So, all right, moving on to our next Marvel comic of the week.
I feel like you're
Hellions.
stretching it out.
Definitely not scrolling to find the red, so I know, we bought that one. Hellions number 11. So previously, Mastermind, I believe that's Mr. Mastermind, something like that. The guy that has very manipulative, can control people, make them see things, dream things, and all of that.
Yeah.
He has, like, this is the, he had tricked all the Hellions into thinking that they were seeing their worst nightmares. And in this one, we see Psylocke slowly breaking that. And that's really all you need to know. Like, everything else is just how she's doing it, how they react, and then where it goes. I did have a problem with this in the sense of, in the last issue, Sinister was tortured. They ripped out some of his teeth. And in this one, he's got a lisp. And while it's kind of funny at first, you start reading and they write it with the lisp. So, like, he's saying subterfuge or, like, centrifuge, and he's like, centrifuge. And, like, they spell it like that. And I'm like, it's kind of like Bizarro. Like, when they write Bizarro talk and you're like, okay, it's taking me a minute to figure out what he's saying. But this one, I was even more just like, okay, can you just write it the way it's supposed to be, please? But besides that, it was a fun issue. Nothing too crazy, but nothing that made me go, I really don't want to continue.
Right. Gotcha.
It's interesting seeing what Sinister is doing behind the scenes of everything. So, I'm assuming you did not read.
No,
Hellions.
I wasn't the biggest fan of Hellions, and I just kind of fell off of it.
All right, so moving on to one, probably the biggest Marvel comic that came out this week. Heroes Reborn number 1. This is the series with basically a Marvel universe where the Avengers never existed.
Right.
And
instead we get the
Squadron
Justice
Supreme.
League. I mean, Squadron Supreme.
Yep. It was all right. I wasn't as impressed as I was hoping
Yeah.
to be. It was a good setup issue.
It wasn't a bad setup issue. The only thing is, and I was saying this to you over lunch, is that, like the Squadron Supreme, the world changing, and the Squadron Supreme being the number one heroes and taking over and kind of like being in charge is their story. Like it's the story that always happens when they're doing the Squadron Supreme. So it's a very standard Squadron Supreme story.
Yeah.
And that kind of takes it away from it for me.
Yeah.
Like the second Blade starts his narration is like, I woke up and the world was different. And then you see the Squadron Supreme show up. I was like, okay, so one of them used, magic or whatever to alter the fabric of reality. And then I was like, wait a minute, Coulson is evil in this. Coulson used something to change the fabric of reality. And then, spoiler alert, because it's not a huge twist, Coulson's the president of the United States, and
with a very evil
with a very evil attitude about him. So it's like, okay, he did something.
Yeah.
Now the idea that for whatever reason Blade remembers, I don't know why.
I'm sure they've got to.
They're going to explain it.
It's
I
got
would
to be
assume
with
something to do with
him being
magic, maybe.
Either that or the fact that he's a daywalker.
Maybe. And so his plan is, okay, well, if there's no Avengers in this world, I'm going to go get the Avengers. And I like the fact that he went and found Thor before he became Thor. He was still just a human who got sent to Earth and was drunk, and then just finds Captain America.
Yeah, he's like, no one could find him, and I knew exactly where he was. I wasn't there the first time, but I knew.
So overall, it's not a bad setup issue, and I hopefully maybe they do something interesting with the idea instead of just the standard Squadron Supreme story. So it didn't turn me off. I'm at least a little hopeful maybe they'll do something interesting with it.
Yeah. A lot of this was very much them going, let's show you how they are pretty much exactly the Justice League.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that's
every
all
time
they
go through, they're like, we just wanted to make sure that it is the Justice League. And actually, as you were saying that, this very much seems like if House of M happened only to the Avengers.
Kind of, yeah. It's actually what it
one
seems like.
person remembers, everything else has changed.
And Wanda was like, "No more Avengers. That's it. I just don't want any more Avengers."
Says something along those lines.
No more Avengers.
No more metas.
She's like, "Listen, I've been watching this thing called the Snyderverse, and what if we had heroes like that?
I wanted a Justice League,
It's like a league of justice or something. I don't know. Maybe a squadron of supreme heroes or something." Overall, it was an okay first issue.
Yeah, I would say pick it up. I think it's worth picking up.
Yeah.
I
just hope they do more something interesting with it.
Yeah, and if you are curious, because it was planned to be a 7-issue series, it is a 7-issue series with many
tie-ins because it's Marvel.
Yeah. All of the tie-ins, though, very much do look like them. It looks a lot like them going,
like extra stuff.
We're explaining why this character is like this right now.
To me, it doesn't look like, oh, Spider-Man's doing a tie-in. It looks like they're just doing tie-in issues. Sort of like the Infinity Warps.
Yes.
Where they had
That's the way it feels.
tie-in issues, but they had nothing to do with the normal Marvel line. You could completely ignore all of that stuff if you so chose.
All right, moving on to a comic. My goodness, I was so happy. Immortal Hulk number 46. We're finally getting a good Hulk story where Hulk is being Hulk. Things are happening. We're not just doing crazy nonsense.
The Avengers show up.
I love that he makes the comment of, oh, you're going to do to Manhattan what you did to Iowa.
Yeah.
And
it was finally something finally showed up. Something finally happened, which I think is good.
I feel like over the past probably 20 issues, there are 3 or 4 key issues that you could read.
It does seem that way. The problem was, in my opinion, and I've said this before, one of the reasons I liked Immortal Hulk was it went into that Twilight Zone, scary door, monsterish thing. The problem was I think they went too far.
Yeah.
They forgot they were doing also a superhero book. So they went a little too far into the hole, and they had to start digging up. was the problem.
They started with the Immortal Hulk, then they just went Immortal, where you're like, what the hell are you doing? And now they're like Hulk. And you're
we got
you know what?
the
Okay,
Hulk.
I'm okay
Yeah,
with this.
So,
Because
this was a
if
good
you
issue.
forgot last time, the UFOs attacked the weakened Hulk.
Yep.
But then the Hulk absorbed the radiation or something.
And came back like full-on Hulk.
Full-on Hulk, smart, can talk very coherently, and is strong as hell.
I like when he went to the bar, and the bartender was like, I don't want to trouble it. Yeah, you already said that. I'll have a whiskey. And then I'd like to point out that the Hulk was like, if anybody shows up, I'll take it outside. Don't worry, I won't ruin your bar.
Like,
and then Thor shows up and destroys the bar. Like, didn't even like, hey, man, let's step outside.
Honestly, I have a feeling that was supposed to... I have a feeling that this fight with the Avengers is going to be a demonstration to everyone there.
That maybe the Hulk isn't quite...
The Hulk's fine.
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
Avengers that are causing the destruction, dealing with someone that you don't need to deal with right now.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on from that, we've got Iron Fist, Heart of the Dragon, number 5. I believe this is a 6-issue miniseries. It was okay. Last time we got Okoye of the Dora Milaje doing, she killed one of the dragons, absorbed the dragon's chi. Iron Fist and the rest of them show up and they're like, oh my gosh, how could you do this? And she's like, no, I did it for a reason. And they're like, no, clearly you didn't. Oh, no, I did it for a reason. And it's like,
Does
really?
she have like diplomatic immunity?
Not when it comes to the Underheaven.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, not much really happened. I was not very impressed with this issue.
Fair enough.
If you've been reading the series, I would say keep going. But it wasn't... It was okay.
Fair enough.
All right, so moving on, we've got Marauders number 20. I know you read this one.
I
'cause
did.
You're a fan of
Yes,
Marauders.
I am a fan of. This was basically just everybody tell us a story about Storm.
Yep.
Which I like Storm as a character, so it was cool to see all the little stories, you know, the different perceptions of her. Nothing crazy happened in the issue.
Oh no. This was
and they're
a
setting up the
Hellfire Gala. Yeah.
which already happened.
No. They spoiled it on Twitter mostly.
Oh, okay.
But
Maybe
it has
that's
not
what I saw,
happened.
because we taken the last couple of weeks off, and I didn't actually read anything. I was like, oh, we're not doing it. I'm not reading any comics. It's really, I just ignored them, and so I was like, oh, maybe I missed the Hellfire Gala. But okay, it makes sense. They spoiled it on
it
the
says
internet.
on the eve of Hellfire
Okay.
Gala. Yeah, the problem was the whole point of the Hellfire Gala was to pick the new X-Men team.
Right.
There was a vote, and then Marvel decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to tweet out panels that remove people from the selection. And it's like, why? Why
that
not
doesn't
wait
make any
at least
yeah.
until the series starts?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
the week before the series
Something,
starts
yeah.
instead of a month before. But if you weren't aware, the reason why this is focused around their stories about Storm is...
She's leaving the team, or the Marauder.
Well, it's more than that. It's Hickman. I think it was Hickman, or the X-Men writers in general said, this is going to be the year of Storm. Storm is going to be one of the main characters. We're going to make her like the central focal point of the series, which great character to pick.
Yes, I'm always been a big fan of Storm. I do want her to bring back the Mohawk. I always liked the 90s Mohawk.
I hope that they do it, or at least if it's just like a one-night thing, like at the Hellfire
She does
Gala.
it for the gala. I always like 90s, the Mohawk.
I mean, they've
Storm.
got her with the Mohawk on the cover.
That's true.
So you never know. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I would say pick it up. Honestly, you don't even need to have read Marauders. If you
not
just
really,
like Storm and you want a Storm comic, Marauders number 20 is for you.
And they're all pretty standard, like X-Men characters. Like it's not like you're gonna be like, who's Bishop?
Yeah.
Who is this guy? You know, like they're all pretty well known, I like the fact that Lockheed is apparently the pilot of the ship.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
I like that. I like that they're all betting how many knives she's got.
That was pretty funny. Yeah.
And
no one got it right.
No one.
I think Bishop was technically closest.
I think he was.
Yeah.
But not closest without going over.
That's true.
Unfortunately. All right, so that was Marauders number 20. Definitely worth picking up. I would recommend that very highly.
That means yes.
Next up, Oh, we didn't buy it. The Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters began.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I did not buy it because
Yeah.
there was issue 1 and issue 1, the director's cut, and I was like, do we buy the director's? And then I just ignored it, and then we didn't buy it. But it did come out, so check it out if you like Star Wars. Next up, we've got Strange Academy number 10. This one's just a little side story. We've got the Strange Academy students going on a field trip to Asgard. We've learned who the parents of the Asgardian kids in the Strange Academy is. The mom is a villainous, powerful sorceress. I don't want to spoil it, but you probably could guess it.
She's like an enchantress of some kind, right?
Some
Yeah,
kind.
yeah. Like if I had to put her D&D stat out there,
Yeah.
it'd be like an enchantress.
Yeah, something
class.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm with it. Who's the dad? Now I'm intrigued.
The dad's just a guard.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, yeah, that's good. All right.
Or at least that's what he says. For all we know,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
someone crazy. Actually, it would be crazy if it was Namor, and this turned out to be Uwe. I believe is actually the proper way to
I
say
think
it from
so,
the
yeah.
Captain Marvel.
That'd be funny.
You never know.
Yeah.
But
Does he look like Uwe?
No,
No. Okay.
not at all. He looks like standard Asgardian blonde kid. Completely full of himself, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We've got a couple child or like teenage romance stuff. I mean, it was a fun issue. I'm enjoying this series. It is just a fun. If Hogwarts was in the Marvel universe,
Right, yeah.
This would be. It's actually, you know what? It would be if you mixed Hogwarts with the Magic School Bus. I feel like that would be.
Watch that show.
I feel like that would be the best way of saying what this is.
Miss McGonagall gets everybody on the damn bus.
Her hair's all frizzy. Oh my gosh! But
I would watch that movie.
I would too. I would definitely would. But yes, Strange Academy number 10. I'm really enjoying the series. The art is fantastic. I'm a big fan. Who is it? Humberto Ramos.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
he's a good
great
artist.
art.
Yeah,
great
he's a
art.
good artist.
And it's being written by Scotty Young, who is really good with the younger characters. Kind of like
he
Bendis,
does well
honestly.
with like younger and like school-based things. I think in a lot of his writing, he's really good.
All right, so moving on, we've got The Union number 5. I do believe this is the conclusion. Before we jump in, I actually found learned a fun fact about this, that apparently the writer, Paul Grist, sent this comic into Marvel for like 10 to 20 years before they actually grabbed it and used it. And when I learned that, I was like, you know what? That changes my perspective of this, because my first thought was, oh, this was just a random comic that
Like
they're
a random
doing with
tie-in,
King in
yeah.
Black and stuff. But no, apparently this was a fan that had written a story that had been submitting it, and they had finally gone, you know what? Let's do it.
You know, honestly, and I read the finale. It wasn't bad for what it was. The actual, and it seems like an interesting concept that I'm surprised Marvel hasn't done, because they used to do like Excalibur was the British mutant team led by Captain Britain, and then it moved into MI13, which was like a lot of the British heroes and stuff and kind of spies and that sort of thing. And they don't really have a British-based team right now.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised they don't do this, because then you have because when it first came out, I saw there was a lot of people who were upset because certain members of the team were from countries that didn't want to be part of the union, and the whole Brexit thing. I didn't pay a whole lot if you're from the UK. I don't pay attention to our own politics here in this country. I don't really pay attention to yours either. But it's an interesting idea that, like, well, these people shouldn't be part of this team because they don't want to be in the union. But, like, that makes an interesting team dynamic.
Yeah.
And that in itself could be a very interesting story. So I'm surprised. Maybe if this does well, they'll do more with it. Because the actual character is pretty interesting.
Yeah, and they
like the powers are cool, the designs are cool.
Yeah, I love snakes.
Yeah,
I am Snakes.
I like when they're like, "Who are you?" I am Snakes. I am here to help. Okay, like,
and then they show him without the hood, and
it's literally just snakes. But they had like British Wonder Woman. Is what she looked like to me.
Pretty much.
Britannia. Yeah, I mean, overall, it wasn't a bad little series, and maybe they'll do something interesting with the team. Yeah.
I mean, they ended with a great way of going. They're basically there, but we can't get.
But we can't find any of them.
You know what? When it's convenient.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll do something with it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun little story, and I thought that was a fun little,
Yeah, it's an interesting tidbit.
fact about it. So
The character designs are really cool too.
They are.
That was the thing. They're really cool, interesting characters. So like I said, hopefully they do something good with them.
yeah. All right, so moving on, we've got X-Men: Curse of the Man-Thing #1.
Didn't read it.
It's not #1. I believe this is actually the third in the Curse of the Man-Thing line.
I'm cursed.
I actually really enjoyed it. So last time we learned that the Man-Thing came out of the Doctor. I can't remember what his name is. Ted Sallis?
Sure.
I want to say. I'm
Right.
going to look to see if it's
I'm
in
with
here. But so we learned that he was working on the Super Soldier Serum, then made a deal with the devil,
And
that turned him into the Man-Thing.
All right.
So we learned that the devil that he made a deal with was Belasco of Limbo.
Okay.
Belasco's been dethroned, so Magic shows up, and she's like, all right, what's the deal? Like, I can break that. Like, do you want to let... And so we go through, and she's like, I can remove the curse, but the Man-Thing will still exist, and you won't be there to control it.
I got you. Okay.
So it goes in an interesting direction. We get a little bit more of the I think she calls herself the Harrower, who was a part of the horticulture, which were the old lady people. And she's like, I want to just destroy everything. And she's trying to break into the nexus of realities.
As you do.
I think that's what it's called.
I think so.
That's essentially that's what created the multiverse, and it's a part of the Man-Thing's lore. I mean, it wasn't bad. I actually enjoyed this. It's fun seeing Magic acting as the Queen of Limbo.
Yeah.
Like, she's just a fun character. We learned that she's clearly in her 20s now, but not yet 25 because she can't rent a car. She goes, hey, I'm not a teenager. I can almost rent a car.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what?
And we've seen her drink.
So
So she's somewhere between 21 and 25.
24.
Well, yeah, 24.
So yeah, it was a fun issue. I had fun with it. I do wish they were numbered doing this
better.
correctly.
Yeah.
Of Curse of the Man-Thing, #3, X-Men. That's beside the point. But
It was
it
the same
is-
thing with X of Swords was such an issue, such a pain in the ass.
Or what was it?
What was the other one after that? Or
There
before
was
that?
one with Typhoid Mary.
Yeah.
There was one. But it was also fun because Magic's got, I can't remember what she calls them. Oh, she calls them the Dark Riders, which is essentially her team of monstrous people that don't mind like killing things. So it's, it was fun watching all of them just eat and destroy and maul the different Man-Thing like creatures. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. The Curse of the Man-Thing, it's actually been a lot more interesting than I was originally expecting.
Okay.
It's not like the best comic to exist or to come out. So if you've ever had an interest in the Man-Thing, I would say pick up issue #1. That will give you a good enough idea if you want to continue or not. If you do decide to continue, do get 1, 2, and 3. Because 3 was very fun. But that was the last comic of the week. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. If you want to support us, you can watch us live every Thursday at twitch.tv/Comicstorian at roughly 2 p.m. Eastern. We do this, the Comics Experiment, and our Capes and Pals. You can also support us over on Patreon at patreon.com/Comicstorian, where you can get early access to a lot of our great content when it's made early, and a lot of other great stuff, and help decide what goes in the channel. That's Andy. I'm Dan. We'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.